Louisville. I'm going to hand this to you. You wrote their preview. Throughout the rest of this episode, you know, we've got Louisville, who's certainly a contender, and then we'll get into NC State, Wake Forest, Syracuse, some of the others. We may start to group some of those teams together, but Louisville, I feel like, is certainly important to spotlight. A changing of the guard, a changing at quarterback, and yet that offense could still be a lot of fun.
Yeah, going with our movie theme that we started off the top, Louisville's movie for me was a little play on the Avengers universe, Boilerman Homecoming. Because if you haven't heard, Jeff Brom coming down from Purdue, he's bringing literally his entire coaching staff with him. Jeff Brom, of course, the former Louisville quarterback. His younger brother, Brian, was also a quarterback at Louisville. And, guys, I am quietly really, really excited about this Louisville team this year. And I know that, you know, Garrett, this is a scorned lover of yours. I'm not going to ask you to jump on this hype train with me.
I will not.
That's fair. You know, what you went through last year, no one should have to go through. But
thank you.
I'm quietly very, very excited about this team that Jeff Brom's put together for year one. I don't think a lot of people are talking about them around college football. And a couple of reasons. They brought in 25 transfers this year. Number 12 transfer class per 247. If you remember last summer, we were talking about their hot start to recruiting. They didn't hold on to all of those guys from the high school ranks, but they did hold on to some of those really talented guys. I like the formula here for the Jeff Brom offense. You really like in a Jeff Brom offense, you think back to his great ones at Purdue, even back to Western Kentucky before that. You have an accurate quarterback that can distribute the ball. You got a running back that can do just enough. And then you have just a big difference maker at wide receiver. Guys, remember the name Jamari Thrash, because if you haven't heard of him, if you haven't watched him play, he played at Georgia State his first few years. He transfers in from Georgia State to Louisville. Last year, 61 receptions, over 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. Turn on the highlight tape on YouTube. It's all deep balls. It's all contested catches. It's all just him making huge plays and making guys look silly in the Sun Belt. So I am a little bit higher on Jack Plummer than I think most of the college football world is. And like, look, his stats did not light the world on fire at Cal. He was a very serviceable quarterback for a team that did not have a lot of talent around him. And he had 9 interceptions, but overall didn't turn the ball over a lot, made a lot of good decisions, made a lot of good reads. He's going to be running a similar offense here at Louisville. And, you know, on the defensive side of the ball, they had 3 starters drafted last year, but they bring back some really interesting playmakers. Jarvis Brownlee had 66 tackles and 12 passes defended last year. Ashton Gillette was a backup last year, but still totaled 7 sacks and 8 tackles for loss, and as kind of a rotational player. They've got a lot of plug-and-play guys on that defense as well. So, you know, if you're looking for something to worry about, the depth and experience at linebacker is certainly concerning, but, guys, the schedule is what makes them really, really interesting to me, because they're over-under sitting there at 7.5. You look at that schedule, there's not a lot of really scary games on there, right? They open up against Georgia Tech. I know you guys are really high on the Yellow Jackets. We'll get to them here in just a second, but that game is not on campus. It is at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Their marquee, I guess if you want to call it that, other than Notre Dame, their marquee out-of-conference game is Indiana. Again, not on campus. It's at the Colts Stadium in Indianapolis. And outside of that, there's a lot of opportunity. I think that they could be 5-0 going into that. NC State game is going to be tricky, but I think that they could be 5-0 going into that
on the road.
October 7th clash against Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of people start paying attention. Maybe you get game day in town. Maybe you get a lot more attention on that game on October 7th and a real chance to make a statement there. But, guys, yeah, I am quietly really excited about Louisville. I think I have them going 9-3 this year. A really solid debut under Jeff Brom, and I'm really excited about the future, really. Like, you guys talk about Knowles coin going to the moon. Get in on Cardinal coin right now, because I think Jeff Brom, the future is very, very bright in Louisville with him.
I will not be getting in on Cardinal coin. There's no
I don't blame you, Darren. You have every right to just let this go in one ear and out the other after.
If you've been burned, that's what happens. But I actually have a slightly different reason. Obviously, looking at the schedule, yes, you're right. That's not necessarily an intense opening the schedule. I think that Georgia Tech at Mercedes-Benz Stadium is a little bit more dangerous than you're going to give them credit for. That's a team and a fan base that's fired up right now with a lot of reasons to be excited. There's a lot of buzz around the program, no pun intended. And, I think that's going to be a really exciting game for a lot of them. Notre Dame, I think, is going to be really good. NC State, that's at NC State. So I don't know. I'm not necessarily going to hop in on this. The big thing for me is
Clemson and North Carolina, though. I think
they do.
Huge.
They do. And that's a big deal for them. My biggest concern, and I think this is going to have to be something I stay consistent with, is when you have this many new players, you have this many brand new guys coming into a locker room, you don't have any idea how it's going to mesh together. We like to say we believe that the offense is going to be on fire. We don't know how these guys are going to get together and play on the field. We haven't seen that. They're going to have great practices. They're going to see the same guy day in and day out. And then they're going to get, in that first game, it's going to be Georgia Tech. They might get punched in the mouth. And all of a sudden, hey, it's your fault. No, it's my fault. No, it's this guy's fault. No, it's that one. No, if you guys would get the ball back for us. And all of a sudden, everyone's yelling and screaming at each other because they're not used to being in that adverse spot with each other. So I'm not saying that they're going to be a terrible team this year. I have them going 6-6. I'm not going to buy into the hype necessarily year one. There's a chance that this is going to be a great team long-term and that this hire is going to really pay off for them long-term. I just don't know how fast it's going to come together since they're basically working with a massively overhauled roster. Yeah, there's some good players in there. I just don't know how fast it comes together. And I've said the same thing about Colorado. I've talked about TCU being similar, how they're going to have a whole lot of brand new people. And I'm going to stay the same with Louisville on this one. I think that this is going to be a little bit of a tough transition, especially to open up the season to get this team on the right page.
I will say, if they can survive weeks 5, 6, and 7, NC State, Notre Dame, Pitt, I've got them dropping 2 of the 3 games that I've projected them to lose. I have them losing to Duke out of the bye week. So that's a really tough kind of 5-week stretch there. But other than that, the back half of their schedule is so forgiving. The Virginia
soft
schools,
open and a soft close. That's what you like to see.
Yeah, the Virginia schools are not going to be a threat. I don't think Miami. Spoiler, I have them going 5-7. I think it's another disappointing year for Miami.
Hater.
Then, we'll get to Kentucky. Well, we'll get there. I think they're better than Kentucky, so I've got them closing that out.
Gracious, how about that?